for topic of the show, each week we take a special item from the Nintendo pipeline, or just the news, the ether, if you will, and break it down bit by bit. Today's topic of the show is the latest... I didn't upgrade this in our show notes. So the topic of the show is not the Nintendo Direct that was recently. It's Super Mario Run and our hyped reactions. And so if you're listening to this, you can listen to the whole show on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming, as well as iTunes, SoundCloud, and more by searching for Koppai Podcast. Super Mario is on mobile.
So while PlayStation has had, I think, a bad couple weeks,
Nintendo's had
a great couple weeks in terms of, like, I think our last episode when we discussed the Direct,
we were hyped.
It was like they did it. They finally came out. They did the Super Mario Maker 3DS. They've got figured out how to put Pikmin on the 3DS.
Yoshi on the 3DS.
Wii U ports on the 3DS. And so, they're getting things right. And then here we go with what everybody's been wanting since they announced that they're going to mobile, Super Mario Run. Yeah. And it seems to play exactly, perfectly, I think, how they should take it and how Nintendo is able to, use gimmicks and all of their, they have experience with motion controls and trying to get the gamepad to be a viable option, and the 3DS touchscreen and the DS, for years and years. So I think they kind of have experience already there that's able to transfer to mobile really well and also give them a fresh experience to experiment. And they seem inspired with the project to be see what you can do.
Miyamoto's pumped.
Yeah. So, yes.
Well, apparently they've been talking about Mario on mobile for quite a few years now, even back to when Iwata was was leading Nintendo. Here's a few bullet points, Zach, for you to munch on. Okay. So you can just kind of nibble on them, suck on them. Legendary designer and current creative fellow at Nintendo, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto, said that Nintendo and Apple have been working together on the project for some time. Quote, "It started when we were working on Miitomo, Nintendo's social game for iOS and Android, or before that when Mr. Satoru Iwata, Nintendo's late CEO, was still with the company," Miyamoto said. Quote, "Apple invited him to have a conversation about how the two companies could work together, and they started working on Miitomo, and then this opportunity came up," Miyamoto added. The company's stock surged by 24% following the Apple announcement. Miyamoto doesn't believe the success of Pokemon Go should be used as a benchmark for how fans will receive Super Mario Run. Both very different audiences, different concepts, and Super Mario is going to be paid for. I'll Go is free. Quote, "We're excited and hopefully people will be excited as well, but this game is different from Pokemon Go and we're still interested in how people will respond to that," Miyamoto said. Quote, "A big point with this game is how can we make this a game that people who aren't good at games can play in the game and still enjoy it," Miyamoto said. Quote, "But also at the same time, we've been making Mario games for a long time, and we know how to make them challenging. So if you're a Mario fan, I don't think you have to worry about that part of it," which is just awesome. Nintendo does great at that balance of, if you want to look for all the stars or the coins or the hidden pads, you're going to be able to do that. Or if you just want to get to the flagpole at the end, you can do that. And so I have no doubt that it's Nintendo. They're going to keep doing their charm. It's going to be an awesome Mario game, regardless of its platform. Hopefully it comes to the Google Pixel. Moving on. Why did Nintendo wait until now to bring its famous character to a mobile platform? Well, as Miyamoto explains it, it was simply a matter of the technology finally reaching a point where Nintendo is comfortable enough to use a third-party device. Quote, "Certainly smart devices have their unique benefits, a persistent network connection and an individual account. And so we are looking at smart devices as an option going forward, and we have more games in development for smart devices," says Miyamoto. Also, something worth noting is why... Oh, Miyamoto. Miyamoto. Very similar. Yeah, another thing to note is that the reason it's been delayed, or not delayed, but just isn't coming to Android right away, is because Nintendo's, issue with developing for something besides a hardware they're anticipating. Basically, they know the iPhone, and they know that an iPhone 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is going to play very similarly. If you, they can make it the resolution, the dimensions, all of that, and it's going to be the same on every iPhone.
Oh, poop.
An Android device is off the edge. It's a note. It's blowing up in your pocket. You can't charge it.
They're full of crap.
I think
Get it on my Android right now.
Yeah, I'm probably switching to Android, probably the Google phones, which I also found interesting. The rest of this article, which I think you can find on My Nintendo News, Miyamoto goes on to say that he's like, we have very good relationships, though, with Apple and also with Google. And it was like, he didn't say with Android, he didn't say with Microsoft or Windows or, LG or HTC, but he did say with Google, which I thought was interesting because you kind of see that clean design in both Nintendo, Apple, and Google. They're very branding.
Pokemon Go is Google, so they already have that experience, I guess, and that tie with having Google close.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'm hoping, because Google's having an event for their new Pixel phones on October 4th. So what if the Google event on October 4th also announces that the Google Pixel is the NX? The Nintendo Pixel. You heard it here first on Koppai. But yeah, so we're super hyped for the game. We've talked about it a lot personally, and we've just been talking as brothers, so I think we're both excited. I think my wife is excited too because she's been playing lots of Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Bros. On the 3DS, and so she's excited to have Mario on her phone. I think she actually has a lot of trouble with the run button. Like, she doesn't run and jump.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. A lot of people who are not really like super, people who are casual gamers really don't think about that sort of thing. And I think that they can think about something that's more of just reflex based.
Yeah, and which is going to be perfect for this.
Something coming, so yeah.
I hope he's just always running, though. I hope he's not always walking. I want him to be in run mode the whole time. But I made her a level in Super Mario Maker where you have to hold down the run button in order to beat the level. So, like, there's parts of the level where you can't jump, but you have to run because there's the little, like, gap spots where you, like, can run and step over one gap at a time if you're running. And so she didn't even know you could do that. She was like trying to jump onto each little platform, but she couldn't jump, and so she kept hitting the spikes above her head. And she's like, "How do you beat this part?" I'm like, "Just run." She's like, "I can't run. There's little gaps." I'm like, "Just go." And she ran, and she's like, "Oh my goodness!" And I made other parts like where you have to hit a P switch and run before the P switch expires, and all these little things. I designed a level to teach her how to run. It's called Couch to 5K. If you want to search for it on Super Mario Maker, get it? Couch to 5K. Haha.
I will have to go play that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's actually uploaded.
I play and tell next week. I went and played Kaz's level.
I'm getting hyped for Super Mario Maker 3DS. I'm actually so hyped for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
That's gonna be so great. Mainly, not so much for creating levels, but for just, hey, I just made a bunch of levels. You should play them. All right, I'm gonna download them onto my 3DS. I'm gonna play them on my lunch break at work or something. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be nice for that. Not so much for creating levels and uploading them, but
I'm interested to see if they do patches for it. Like we saw, they did for quite a while a lot of patches for Super Mario Maker on the Wii U where they added, cool little features. I wouldn't be too surprised if they are able to figure out some of the things to be like, okay, now you can search and add like this, and maybe now you can upload a few things, or, now certain courses we've added it so, we've added the ability that now this amount of courses that were blacklisted that you couldn't play before now suddenly work because, we have stability increases and all that sort of thing. So, that'll be cool to see.
Yeah.
And it'll be really cool to see if, hopefully with Super Mario Run, that, like we see with games like Sonic Dash and stuff, where they end like Candy Crush and things like that, where they're always adding new expansions
even
to
for
it,
$1, like get it. Or even like they add in like Luigi, and all of a sudden all the levels are different because he has a higher jump, or so that would be cool. Also, closing thought on Super Mario Run and our topic of the show, just to plant a little seed in people's heads. What if they make Super Mario Run Maker?
Whoa.
On the NX. Maybe that's the NX title, because the NX is going to be a phone made by Google, and you make your Super Mario Run levels for people.
That'd be really cool.
Koppai exclusive. That concludes the topic of the show. Be sure to leave your thoughts down below, as well as suggestions for future topics. And if you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to like, share, and review us on iTunes, as well as other podcast services. Even if you're listening on YouTube, hop over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review.